Today, I'm going to show you how to get your first $1,000 online, and you're not going to do any cold calling, any spam stuff, and you're going to be able to do it over the weekend. Now, the first thing is you're going to need to start off by making that first $100. And even if you don't have something to sell yet, you're going to want to stick around because I'll have something for those types of people. But this is the same strategy I've used to launch every single business I've ever started. It's the quickest way to validate something. It's the fastest way to get your first $1,000 online from anywhere in the world. And so now I'm going to share my screen and just kind of go through a no BS step by step process on how this all works. So looking here, we've got the slides and I'll make this full screen for everyone. So your first $1,000 online. Why not your first million, Mike? Why not start there? And I get it. Most people probably want to just make $1 million, but you have to get to that first $100 online. You got to get to that first thousand, then you got to get to 10,000. So the reason that we break it down to this because it's achievable and it's going to be achievable faster than most people think. You can do this, and if you do it correctly at scale, you can get this done and you can make your first $1,000 in a weekend. This is to prove a concept that you can do it, that it can work, and that you can change your mindset that this sort of process is actually achievable. So once you made that first $1,000 online, I would say that's the light bulb moment. And especially from my experience, it was the thing that changed my entire life. Oh, I was able to make $1,000 online. Well, then that $1,000 has gone on to help me make millions of dollars in revenue from around the world. And so I want to just say how important this is. Don't get so big. It's like losing 50 to 100 pounds. You got to break it down into smaller chunks. You got to break it down. You got to lose that first 2 pounds first. And you got to build the system and structure that's going to teach you how to do it for a longer term. So that's why we start off with 100 times 10. It's a lot easier to sell something at $100 for most people than it is to sell one thing at 1,000. It really depends on your skill set and what you have to offer to the world. But in this example, we're going to focus on selling to your first 10 customers. 10 people at $100, and that's going to get you your first $1,000. And like I mentioned, if you have no offer to sell, that's okay. Stick around, and I'll have something where we will actually build you something to sell within a matter of a week. And so, for those of you who are looking to get started, a lot of people out there are really talking about spamming the internet, doing thousands of outreaches, but this isn't really the case. And it's not where I suggest starting off. What I suggest is doing a warm strategy instead of a cold. Cold is going to be like going out on the street and saying, "Hey, will you buy this thing I have?" And they're like, "I don't know you. I have no trust in you. Get away from me." It's basically the same thing. Warm audience is going to be going to people who know you or know of you. You're going to have more trust, rapport, and authority built already that maybe you've been building for your entire life with these people. And I know there's a lot of people that are hesitant to sell something to their family or friends, but I'm going to show you how you can do it in an ethical way that isn't going to embarrass you, and it's going to be done very casually. It's not going to be a hard sale. It's going to be something where you're basically just utilizing your network to get referrals, recommendations, and get those first customers. So let me explain what that exactly looks like. And this is where I come up with the warm DM system. Think of friends, family, and first degree connections is going to be the people that you're starting with. The reason that this is so important is because if you're trying to go at a cold strategy where nobody knows you, you don't have any of the systems set up, you're looking at probably less than 1% conversion. With a warm system, you're usually going to convert at around 10 to 15%, depending on how warm your network is, how reliable you've been, and how much value you've added for people that are inside that network. So I've seen it anywhere from 10 to 20%, but again, your results are really going to vary. So, what I suggest for this is getting out a spreadsheet. And I can't really do this exactly because I'm not allowed to share any email data, anything like that, and it'll be a pain to blur it out. But what I suggest doing is just open up a free Google Sheet. And what you need to do is just go through your LinkedIn, your WhatsApp, your iMessage, your phone book. Look at everyone who has interacted with one of your Facebook posts, messaged you on LinkedIn, and has done any sort of conversational messaging through email, through Facebook Messenger. Just pull out your phone, and the goal of this sort of strategy is to get at least 100 people inside a spreadsheet. Get their first name, their last name, their email, their phone number, a link to their profile, and then maybe a notes column or row where you can actually write in some details about what your last interaction was. The goal for this is to get 100 people, and over 10 days, we're going to be messaging 10 of these people per day. And the reason we don't do it all at once is something important, which is a really important nuance, but I'll explain that later. So once you have that spreadsheet, you essentially now have your warm network. I did this same strategy on another training, and I was able to get 1,000 contacts in under like 10 minutes. This shouldn't take you hours. You can export your contacts from Facebook, from Gmail, from your phone, and from like basically every platform out there. You can do an export, and it'll have either the name, the date, the email, their phone number, depending on which platform you're using. So get all those people, and again, you don't really need to curate. Just try to get 100 people that you've interacted with in the past 30 or 60 days. And if you don't have that, just keep going. Go back to 90 days, go to a new platform. And so the idea here is that we get this spreadsheet, we get our first 100 people that are going to be the best chance for getting a response or getting help. And so the one thing that I suggest while you're doing this, and I'll show why split testing is so important, is this is the reason we don't just blast out 100 messages to people. We want to get split testing, we want to get responses, and we want to see how people respond to our subject lines, our messages, and our content. And so the biggest thing that you're going to be split testing is that subject line and then the content inside. So just to show you the power of split testing, I split test just about every email I send out. I split test every message I send out, and you'll be shocked with the campaign results. I just did a campaign yesterday, and I was like, man, this copy is so good. Then I split tested it, and the conversion rate was like 5 times higher on one subject line. So when you get 5 times the open rates and your conversion rate stays the same, it's exponential. So just to show you some of the power of real world split testing here, we've got 15 conversions versus 25. That's a 66% higher conversion rate just by split testing, something that takes 5 seconds to come up with a new subject line that's going to get those opens and going to help get those conversions. Because you can never get a conversion if people don't open your messages and don't open your emails. And so one thing that I want to suggest while you're doing this is we got to test multiple platforms. The open rates on emails are usually pretty good for your warm network, but also messaging people on Facebook or iMessage or SMS, you're looking at like 80 to 90% open rates versus email where you're looking at about 20. So that's why I suggest testing a few. So message like 10 people a day, message 3 on email, 3 on, text message, 3 on Facebook Messenger. LinkedIn is pretty tough because people get so much spam there. So I suggest just finding contacts there and trying to message them on another platform. So this is the power of split testing and why it's so important to break this up into a 10-day sort of challenge. And so here is one of the email copies that I suggest starting off. And you can adjust this to work for email, for DMs, or for even just, sending a voice note to somebody. That also is a really great way to get in touch with people. I think voice notes are one of the most powerful ways to actually communicate with somebody. It's going to get really high open rates. So the subject line that I personally have found that works really well is just first name dot dot dot. It really gets the opens. It gets people's curious to be curious about why you're emailing them, because maybe you haven't emailed them or talked to them a while, so they're really super curious to figure out, okay, what does this guy want? And so what I suggest doing is start off with your last interaction. I know it's been a while since Sarah's wedding. It was so funny that, so and so like was so drunk and fell over. Try to keep it short, but something memorable so it's unique to this individual. That's why it's important to utilize your warm network. And the biggest thing and the biggest sort of transformation on this is we're not asking to sell that person directly. We're asking for referrals, recommendations, and to get a suggestion. So what I suggest is start off on that first line, something unique about that individual that sparks the conversation. Oh, I was just at Starbucks and it got me thinking about, last week we were there, something like that, something that sparks that memory. Then the second line is going to be what your business model or what your offer is. Talk about who you help and how you help that individual. This is very important. So what I suggest doing is I do X. I do, sales consulting. Who do you do it for? I do sales consulting for dentists, who want to get more customers. And how do you actually do that with live free trainings, something like that. And you just take a cut of the upside. Try to keep it all within one sentence. So I do X for Y by doing Z is usually the formula that works best. And if you don't understand how that works or how to like get that to fit well, take it, ask ChatGPT to help you out, make sure it's consolidated, make sure it's one sentence. And if you don't have that figured out, you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what you're doing, who your avatar is, and what problem you're solving. Because you should be able to consolidate that in one sentence. This is the most important thing is because you got to understand who your avatar is, because if somebody messages me and says, I'm looking for dentist, I don't know anybody who's a dentist, right? I don't know anybody. I would say like, I'm sorry, I don't know that avatar. So you also need to consider who is your actual avatar. That's why in our program, we help people with a travel funnel because everyone loves travel. Everyone can think of 10 people in their family, their friends, or whatever that would love to do luxury travel and get their next trip for free. And so that's our value proposition. That's our avatar. And it's a lot more approachable for this sort of structure. But again, this sort of email template can work for any sort of individual. And so let's say you are, working with dentists. I assume you have a network of people who are dentists. And if you message somebody, I know Steve, he went to dental school with me. And so the idea here is that you need to know who your avatar is. And it's great if they're actually a good fit, because what will happen is Steve, the dentist who you're emailing, or Sarah, the person who loves travel and wants to go on her next luxury trip for free, if you say, hey, Sarah, do you know anybody who wants to travel for free and stay at luxury resorts? She'll self-assess and say, hey, I love travel. I'm curious about that. How can I get involved? Or if Sarah's like, I'm traveled out this year, but my friends Sally and Susie are looking to go for a trip this year, but they just haven't been able to make it happen because it's a little bit outside of their budget. And so what they're going to do is it's going to position this in a few ways. One, you're not selling your friends, so it doesn't come off super slimy. You're just asking for referrals. And you're giving people a genuine update. You're not spamming them out because you're making it unique. This is why we're doing 10 of these a day. And so the last question is, would you happen to know anybody who might want help or that's planning a trip in the future? And so it's going to get them a really good idea. And so hopefully the idea here is to just get a reply, to get a response. And then the next step is, hey, would you mind copying both of us on an email? Would you mind copying both of us in a group chat? So that way it's sparking that conversation as fast as possible. I love like three-way DMs or like adding people to a WhatsApp group, a Facebook group, whatever. What I suggest doing is just saying, "Hey, would you mind adding us all on Facebook Messenger on a three-way chat?" Whatever's going to spark the interaction, cuz email is great, but it's slow. That's why DMs is great. It's fast. It helps you get that validation. And so you're probably thinking, what's the next step from here? Once you're in that three-way chat, there's a lot of ways you can take it depending on your offer, but typically you want to set up a call. And so what I suggest doing is as soon as they reply in that three-way chat and say, "Hey, do you have 5 minutes now when I can just see if you're a good fit for this?" And all you can do is just pitch them, see if they want to, like, if they're qualified, and you can either try to sell them on that call, but more importantly, what I suggest doing is say, "Hey, let's set up a call for tomorrow if you have 30 minutes. I've got a slideshow. I just want to show you how all of this works. And again, if it's not worthwhile for you, I'll give you something for free." And so what you're doing here, especially for your first 10 customers, what I suggest doing is giving discounts, getting people in, like at adding bonuses. So like I personally love the bonus route better and say, "Hey, I can't discount this just because I'm going to lose money on it. But what I can do is I'll add a free consult. So once you go through the material, I'll actually hop on and help you book your first trip. That way you're getting help with the goal. So focus that bonus material on what is the transformation that this person wants to have, and how does that bonus material help them get it faster, because you're looking for testimonials and people who are going to be excited for the results that they actually get. So once you're on the call with them, that's when you're going to have the sale. But again, depending on your price point, sometimes you can get people, to go ahead and check out by creating a Loom video, by, just sending a voice note, and sort of even just sending a Google Doc outlining how all of this works and how they can actually get started. So if you're selling something for under $1,000, it's not necessary to have a call, but I suggest for the first 10 people, try to have a call, because you're going to learn what objections they have, why they aren't signing up. Maybe it's some problem with the offer or the way it's presented. Calls give you about 100 times more data per second. So that's why whenever I'm doing this, I try to set up a call, because I want to learn more about why they aren't interested in it. Usually it's a misunderstanding in the value proposition. They don't understand the pricing. They don't understand how to implement it. And so this gives you good ideas on how to change that front end on how to market it. So again, what we're doing here is the second message that we have. And what I suggest doing is, first 10 people, test that variation, test it for a few days, and then throw in another variation. This variation is usually going to be on what's called a hand raiser post. So on a hand raiser post, you're going to go on social media, go on LinkedIn, and just say, "Hey, I recently started a new business. I'm giving 10 people a really big discount in return for feedback and a testimonial for my new offer." This sets the bar in a lot of ways. One, they're going to get a discount in return for helping you out with a testimonial video and feedback to make your offer better. So you're going to get a lot more validation, a lot more trust. That's going to help you build those future sales, and it's going to make those future sales a lot easier, because you're getting improvements and you're getting trust factors through testimonials. And so what you do is you post this on social media, post a little bit about, what the transformation is. Don't post about the features. Focus on the transformation. I started this new program where I take people from A to Z. I help people, get skinnier than they were in high school, add 10 years to their life, whatever that actionable transformation is. Put that in the post. Use ChatGPT if you need help writing this. Make sure you tweak it that it looks real. ChatGPT can be good, but it makes it look like it's written by ChatGPT. I can see every post that's AI written versus not. And so what you do is you put that post out there, and what I usually suggest is at the very end of that post, you put a comment or send me a DM. If you're worried about the post not performing well, just put "send me a DM if you're interested in or know somebody who might be a good fit," or tag them below. If you're worried about getting a lot of social proof, or if you have a big following, The comments can be great because it gets that social proof that people are interested in it. If you're worried about that, then just say DM so it doesn't really, if they go and there's no comments, they can be like, oh, well, he must have just gotten DMs. So after you do that, what I suggest doing is anybody who engaged with the post, who liked, commented, shared, whatever, just send them a message, something similar to this, and say, hey, thanks for engaging with this. I recently started doing this. Do you know anybody who might be a good fit? I'm really trying to get this off the ground running. And again, you're not trying to sell them. You're just looking for referrals and recommendations. And so if you do this same process for 10 days straight and you send 10 messages a day, I guarantee you'll get your first $1,000 online. If you're doing it correctly, you have something valuable to actually sell and you're getting in touch with the right avatar for your business. And so if you don't have a huge network, what I suggest doing is going into Facebook groups, find Facebook groups where your avatar is hanging out and you can message people in there. You can see, oh, in this Facebook group, these 20 people are the most interactive. They're very good. So this is moving into more of a cold DM system. So after you've exhausted your warm audience, and you know it works, you've got the subject lines, you've got the offer sorted, you've got testimonials, you've got all these resources. After that, I suggest moving into the cold DM system. And so the cold DM system is going to move outside of your warm network. The reason the warm network is good is because usually it's going to get way higher conversions. And so what I suggest doing is you need to over exhaust your warm network. Like if you've only sent it to 100 people, I would say you probably needed 10 or 20 or even 100x that for your warm audience. But once you've done that is when you move on to cold. So when you're coming to me, I'm going to ask you, how many people in your warm network did you actually message? Because I don't want you coming saying like, oh, cold's not working, warm's not working. I want to see how many messages you sent, how many people replied, how many calls did you get on, what does that look like? And I suggest tracking this in your spreadsheet. So the cold DM system is a little bit similar, but again, you're looking at a 1% conversion rate versus 10 or 20, and that's why it's so much more beneficial to exhaust your warm network first. So you're looking at Facebook groups, IG pages, LinkedIn connects. And so what you're doing is, let's say we're in the travel niche here. We're going to go on to Facebook and just search, digital nomads in my city, or remote workers, or, let's just say it's people who love yachting. We'll go to yacht lovers in, in my city, and you'll be able to connect with people in there and you'll see who's interactive. Try to find 10 groups that are interactive, and you can message people who are responding and interacting the most. And you can use the same strategy to say, hey, I see we both love yachting or sailing or whatever the hobby is, or offer or avatar. And you can message them asking for referrals for your program, and it'll be the same similar system, but this is a new way to find new audiences outside of your warm network. You can do this on IG accounts. Look at people who are similar to you or selling something similar who are interacting with posts. You can message them and spark that conversation, or LinkedIn connects that are going to fit your avatar. This is going to be better for B2C. LinkedIn is usually going to be better for B2B, but it really depends on your offer. For example, LinkedIn people love to travel just as much as Facebook and Instagram, so that's why it's a really great offer. So we already talked about the 9-word email kind of slightly in the beginning, but this is just another sort of process that I suggest doing. It's one of the most effective warm and cold email outreaches. Basically, all you say in a 9-word email is, are you still interested in achieving outcome with what I do? So are you still interested in booking a free trip overseas with travel hacking? Make it simple. It needs to be 9 words, and it should ask them, do you want to achieve this goal with this sort of method? And that's all you ask. You don't say anything else. You ask a question, and then you wait for a reply. The reason this works so well is it really identifies the people who are interested in it. They reply and then they raise their hand, and it's able to get those people who are actually interested in taking action. So the 9-word email is one of those things that's super effective. Are you still interested in desired result? Are you still interested in desired result with X method, right? Very simple, very easy to implement. And this has been some of the most, let's just say, the easiest to highest leverage activities for email to warm and cold audiences. So I hope you all like this. If you've been finding some value, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below. I'm usually not making content like this, but I'm curious if you like this style of content. I want to hear about it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. I also have, for those of you who don't have an offer yet, and even if you do have an offer, if you like trainings like this and you want to take it to the next level, join the Earn From Anywhere Academy. You're going to get access to like thousands and thousands of dollars of free programs, video resources, tools, live trainings, our community, and a bunch of private events that we host. We're giving away a free trip to Thailand for the people who get the best results. And so if you want to actually get an offer, for those of you who don't have something to sell yet, one of the main things we do inside the Earn From Anywhere Academy is we build you a low ticket funnel, a website, and a system to get your first $1,000 and $10,000 per month online. So we build that for you. It's been working for everyone who's gone through the process of doing it. So scan the QR code or just go to skool.com/EFA. There'll also be a link below where you can join. And the cool thing is, guys, you can try this out for 7 days. Send me a DM inside. You can see how the materials work. We can get on a call and we can just figure out what goals you have and help you get there a lot faster. So thank you again for your time. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all on the inside.